In the darkest depths of an Icelandic winter, when snow blankets the volcanic landscape and darkness claims nearly 20 hours of each day, something stalks the countryside. It's not the howling wind. It's something far more sinister, a creature so massive that it towers over farmhouses with eyes that glow like lanterns in the endless night. This is Jólakötturinn, also known as the Yule Cat, also referred to as the Christmas cat. And according to Icelandic folklore, if you're not careful, it will devour you whole. The Christmas cat is one of Iceland's most distinctive and haunting folk traditions, deeply woven into the fabric of Icelandic Christmas celebrations for centuries. Unlike the jolly Santa Claus of modern Christmas lore, Jólakötturinn represents something far more primal. A creature born from Iceland's harsh winters and the very real struggle for survival in one of Europe's most unforgiving environments. But what exactly is the Christmas cat? According to Icelandic tradition, Jólakötturinn is an enormous, monstrous feline that roams the snowy countryside during the Christmas season. We're not talking about an oversized house cat here. This creature is described as being large enough to peer into second-story windows, with some accounts suggesting it stands taller than the farmhouses themselves. Its fur is jet black or dark gray, shaggy and matted from prowling through winter storms. Its eyes glow with an eerie luminescence, and its teeth and claws are said to be as sharp as any predator's. The Christmas cat doesn't hunt randomly, though. It has very specific criteria for its victims. The creature prowls from farm to farm on Christmas Eve, searching for those who have not received new clothes before the holiday. This isn't about fashion. It's about worthiness, productivity, and contribution to the household. In Iceland's traditional agrarian society, receiving new clothes was a reward for completing your share of the autumn wool processing before Christmas arrived. To understand why the Christmas cat specifically targets those without new clothes, we need to understand the economic reality of historical Iceland. Wool was the backbone of Iceland's economy for centuries. Sheep were introduced to Iceland by the first Norse settlers in the late 9th century, and they became essential to survival on this isolated island. Wool provided clothing, blankets, trade goods. It was literally the fabric of Icelandic life. Each autumn, after the sheep were brought down from the highlands, the massive task of processing the wool was undertaken. This was called the autumn work, or veturnatur work, which means the winter night's work. The wool had to be sorted, cleaned, carded, spun into yarn, and then woven or knitted into clothing and textiles before the deepest part of winter set in. This was an all-hands effort. Every member of the household, from the youngest children to the elderly, had tasks to complete. The master or mistress of the household would set quotas for each person based on their age and ability. Finish your quota before Christmas, and you will be rewarded with at least one new piece of clothing, perhaps a sweater, socks, or mittens. Fail to complete your work, and you would receive nothing new to wear for the holiday. This is where Jólakötturinn enters the picture. The Christmas cat became a powerful motivational tool and a terrifying one. Parents and farm masters would warn their children and workers, complete your wool work or the Christmas cat will know. It will see that you're wearing old clothes, and it will come for you. The Christmas cat's hunting method is chillingly methodical. On Christmas Eve, when families gather for their holiday meal, Jólakötturinn begins its prowl. It moves from farm to farm across the snow-covered landscape, its massive form casting impossible shadows in the pale winter light. When it reaches a farmhouse, it doesn't simply attack, it observes. The creature peers through windows with its glowing eyes, studying each person gathered inside. It's looking for one thing: new clothes, the shimmer of new wool, the clean lines of freshly sewn garments, the brightness of recently knitted patterns. Those wearing new clothes are safe. The cat can see their worthiness. their productivity, their value to the household. But anyone wearing only old, worn clothing is marked as prey. According to folklore, the Christmas cat doesn't discriminate by age. Children who shirked their carding duties, adults who were lazy with their spinning, and elderly folks who couldn't finish their quotas are all potential victims. The creature is said to be particularly drawn to those who are idle or lazy, those who consume resources without contributing to the household's survival. Some versions of the legend suggest the cat doesn't merely kill its victims, it devours them entirely, leaving no trace. Others say it tears them apart and drags them away into the winter darkness. The most chilling versions claim that the Christmas cat toys with its prey first, letting them know they've been found wanting before the final attack. While the Christmas cat legend existed in Icelandic oral tradition for centuries, it was crystallized into cultural consciousness through the work of Jólakötturinn, one of Iceland's most beloved poets. In 1932, he published a poem simply titled Jólakötturinn that captured the essence of this terrifying tradition. Jólakötturin's poem paints a vivid picture of the creature's threat. The poem describes how the Christmas cat prowls the land, seeking out those in old, worn clothes. It emphasizes the social dimension of the threat, that the cat specifically hunts those who didn't receive new garments, which signals they hadn't earned them through their labor. The poem warns that the cat knows if you've been idle, if you've neglected your duties, if you've failed to contribute. The Christmas cat doesn't prowl alone in Icelandic mythology. Jólakötturinn is said to belong to Grýla, a fearsome giantess who is herself a Christmas figure in Icelandic folklore. Grýla lives in the mountains with her lazy third husband, Lepaludi, and their 13 sons, the Yule lads, or Jólasveinar. While Grýla has her own terrible reputation, she's said to come down from the mountains to catch naughty children and boil them in her giant cauldron. The Christmas cat operates somewhat independently. It's her pet, her familiar, an extension of her household's enforcement of winter survival rules. Some versions of the folklore suggest that Grýla sends the cat out to scout for victims, while others portray it as acting on its own ancient instincts. The Yule lads, Grýla's 13 sons, arrive one by one during the 13 nights before Christmas, each with their own mischievous or menacing behavior. But they pale in comparison to their mother's cat. While the Yule lads might steal your sausages or slam your doors, Jólakötturinn will devour you entirely. So how did one protect themselves from the Christmas cat? The answer was both simple and demanding. Receive new clothes before Christmas Eve. But this wasn't just about having parents or a master who would give you clothing. It was about earning it through your labor. In the traditional Icelandic household, the giving of new clothes at Christmas was a ritualized acknowledgement of contribution and worth. The master or mistress of the household would present each worker and family member who had completed their autumn wool work with their new garment. This might happen on Christmas Eve itself, or in the days immediately preceding it. The presentation wasn't just a gift, it was proof of worthiness, a shield against the Christmas cat's hunger. For children, this created a powerful incentive system. Even young children could learn to card wool, separating and untangling the fibers, or help with simpler tasks like holding skeins while adults wound yarn. The threat of the Christmas cat lurking in the December darkness motivated even the most reluctant young workers to complete their quotas. Interestingly, the legend also created a social safety net. Even the poorest households recognized that someone had to provide new clothes to protect family members from the cat. This meant that those who were too ill, too elderly, or too young to complete their quotas might still receive new garments out of compassion and protection. The legend, while harsh, reinforced community responsibility for all its members. There are stories of charitable giving framed specifically around protecting the poor from Jólakötturinn. Wealthy farmers might give cloth or finished garments to poorer neighbors so that everyone in the community would be protected. In this way, the Christmas cat legend encouraged both personal responsibility and communal care. Like many folk traditions, the Christmas cat operates on multiple levels of meaning. On its surface, it's a supernatural threat used to motivate children and workers. But look deeper, and you'll find profound reflections of Icelandic culture and the realities of survival in a harsh environment. First, Jólakötturinn embodies the very real danger of winter unpreparedness. In historical Iceland, failure to prepare adequately for winter could mean death. The autumn wool work wasn't just about economic contribution. It was about survival. Those warm new clothes weren't a luxury. They were potentially life-saving insulation against Iceland's brutal winters. The Christmas cat, then, symbolizes the deadly consequences of laziness and lack of preparation in a subsistence economy where everyone's survival depended on everyone's contribution. Second, the legend reflects the communal nature of Icelandic society. Iceland's isolated farms and small communities required intense cooperation for survival. Someone who didn't pull their weight wasn't just failing themselves, they were endangering the entire household. The Christmas cat's ability to identify shirkers through their lack of new clothes mirrors the way rural communities could quickly identify those who weren't contributing their fair share. Third, there's an element of social leveling in the legend. The Christmas cat doesn't care about your social status, your family lineage, or your wealth. It only cares whether you're wearing new clothes, which you can only get by completing your work. A wealthy farmer's child who was lazy would be just as vulnerable as anyone else. This reflects the relatively egalitarian nature of Icelandic society, where even in hierarchical structures, everyone had obligations. Today, the Christmas cat remains a beloved part of Icelandic Christmas tradition, though its threat has evolved significantly. Modern Icelandic children are still told about Jólakötturinn, but now it's more of a whimsical seasonal character than a genuine source of terror. Parents might playfully remind children about the Christmas cat when discussing the family's Christmas shopping, but the existential threat has largely faded. In Reykjavik and other Icelandic cities, you'll find Christmas cat imagery throughout the holiday season. There are Christmas cat decorations, illustrations in children's books, sculptures, and murals. The cat has been domesticated, in a sense, transformed from a tool of labor enforcement into a quirky element of Iceland's unique cultural heritage. However, the underlying message hasn't been entirely lost. Many Icelandic families still maintain the tradition of giving clothing as Christmas gifts, and the phrase, "so the Christmas cat won't get you," is still used, though now with a wink and a smile. Some parents use the legend to encourage children to complete their chores or help with holiday preparations, maintaining a thread of connection to the original purpose. The Christmas cat has also become a point of cultural pride, a way that Iceland distinguishes its Christmas traditions from the increasingly homogenized global Christmas culture. While other countries have elves and reindeer, Iceland has Gríla's family and their monstrous cat. This uniqueness is celebrated and preserved as part of Iceland's distinctive identity. Beyond Jóhannes úr Kötlum's defining poem, the Christmas cat has appeared in various other Icelandic literary and cultural works. The legend has been the subject of children's books that soften its edges while maintaining its essence, teaching young readers about Icelandic traditions and the importance of hard work and preparation. The cat appears in various collections of Icelandic folk tales and Christmas stories. It's been the subject of academic study by folklorists interested in how folk beliefs functioned in pre-modern societies. Scholars have examined how the Christmas cat legend intersects with other Nordic traditions. Though it remains distinctly Icelandic, you won't find quite the same figure in Norwegian, Swedish, or Danish folklore. In recent years, as Iceland has become a popular tourist destination, the Christmas cat has been marketed to visitors as part of the country's exotic Christmas traditions. Tour companies offer Christmas folklore tours that include stops at locations associated with various Christmas figures, including places where the Christmas cat is said to prowl. This commercialization has introduced Jólakötturinn to a global audience, though often in a sanitized form that emphasizes charm over menace. What makes the Christmas cat such an enduring figure in Icelandic culture? Part of it is certainly the vividness of the image. A giant cat prowling through the snow, its eyes glowing in the polar darkness, seeking out those who haven't earned their protection through honest work. It's a powerful visual that sticks in the imagination. But beyond the imagery, the Christmas cat represents something deeper about Icelandic values and history. It's a reminder of a time when survival was precarious, when everyone's contribution mattered, when winter preparation was literally life or death. It reflects a cultural memory of hardship and the necessity of mutual dependence. The legend also speaks to the way folklore functions in society, not just as entertainment, but as education, motivation, and social enforcement. The Christmas cat taught children that their labor mattered, that they were valuable contributors to the household, and that there were consequences for failing to meet their obligations. These are lessons that, stripped of the supernatural terror, remain relevant. In our modern world of abundance and instant gratification, there's something almost refreshing about a Christmas tradition that's rooted in work, preparation, and earned rewards. The Christmas cat doesn't bring presents to everyone regardless of behavior. It only spares those who have demonstrated their worthiness through completed labor. It's a harsher message than modern Christmas typically conveys, but it's one that connected deeply with the realities of life in pre-industrial Iceland. The Christmas cat may have been born from harsh economic necessity and the brutal reality of Icelandic winters, but it represents something that transcends its origins. The idea that what we receive should be connected to what we contribute. That community survival depends on shared responsibility, and that the darkest time of the year requires preparation, diligence, and mutual care. Jólakötturinn still prowls the Icelandic winter, though now more in memory and tradition than in genuine belief. But the lessons it taught about work, community, preparation, and the earning of comfort and safety, those lessons remain, woven into the fabric of Icelandic culture, like the very wool whose processing gave birth to this legend. The Christmas cat is watching. Have you earned your new clothes? Thank you for listening to this winter tale. As the long nights deepen and the fire burns low, may the story of the Yule Cat linger softly in your thoughts. If this legend stirred your imagination, I'd love to hear what you felt. And if you know someone who enjoys old folklore, feel free to share it with them. Until we meet again, keep warm, and I'll return with another story from the shadows of myth.